Hello, today I'm going to be working more on this iPhone slider stuff. So, last time I uploaded was a few days ago. I'll just bring myself back up to speed. Um, I've got a VNC client to my Mac here. And I learned I can run things in the simulator fairly well using the new, um, whatever, the new Xcode. Before I used to not be able to record audio, which made it pretty hard to use. But as you can see here, I can actually record audio, so I can press the record button and say like, "Hi, how are you doing? I'm trying to record a sound," and it will record this. Hi, how are you doing? I'm trying to record a sound. And I can pretty much use all the stuff, all the GUI stuff, the same. Now you'll notice since the last time I moved this bar down here, we talked about that, and we got the sliders in the correct location. Now I'm working on the visual components. So I did some of that, just a little bit, the other day. Um, Now you have a slider with the bottom half of this, the purple part right now is a custom image. I just provided it. There's a UISlider property that lets you set that image, and I generate them on the fly with core graphics using the CG context routines. And this slider, this is called the slider thumb, the thing you drag. So I made that be dependent on the height, the ratio of the slider. So on the bottom it's green, the top it's blue. This is just a stub pretty much. And it also, in very light text, you can probably see it shows like the value. Yeah. But obviously this is not a final product. I'll need to tweak this. To go back to the picture I had in mind, using empty paint, we want it to look something like this, where, yeah, this is, you'll have to use your imagination, but more polished version of this where you have a slider with, it's basically an upwards triangle, an isosceles triangle that is flat on the top. And then you have this power meter pretty much, and you'll have slices, ticks for the numbers. Now I know on the Mac there was like a ticks option for sliders, but I don't think there's one for the UISlider. And anyway, we're drawing um, our own track. The slider part is called the track. Yeah, and we're rotating everything weird anyway. So yeah, I'll go over the code because I have to refresh myself. Yeah, so let me pull up the relevant code. Make sure the windows are set up. So I don't need the view controller. Everything's pretty much in this effect param slider. So I've got two calls pretty much, and these set images for effect gets called once when we slide to a new effect, and that tells the slider bars to redraw the whole thing. And that's right now the slider bar. Only difference from the normal one is the bottom is purple. So how do I do that? I get a CG context ref and a rectangle of some arbitrary size. I just pick these numbers out of random. Just has to be basically along horizontal. Remember, we're still drawing them in horizontal, in a horizontal perspective, and then we're rotating it. So when we draw the actual image, it's going to be a horizontal image. So here you see the horizontal thing is a lot longer than the vertical height. And then we you can get I've done this several ways before, but this is probably the easiest way to get an image from a core graphics context. You just tell it to create one, and you don't have to do anything magical. I don't even think you need to release it. I should probably double check that. Yeah. Um, yeah, but you see you have, I just call this fill rect. I add a rect and draw the path with the fill. So it strokes it and fills it with this color, which is pretty much purple. Yes, I just chose some random numbers and it ended up being purple. Then this is the magic call that sets the image. And the state can be normal. That looks like it encompasses all the states even when it's highlighted. And we also call set thumb image for effect. Now this one is dynamic. If you noticed when I dragged up and down, the thumb changed from purple, well, not purple, but some green to blue or something. Alright, so that's dynamic. Obviously I don't have to create a new UI image. I could probably figure out some way to just set the tint or something, I don't know. But I'm also drawing the text value. I'm drawing the number value of the slider as text, and that's going to be dynamic. There's no real getting around that. So because that's procedurally generated, I just generate the whole thing every time I need to change the slider value. And this call gets called here, so this is the initial setup for when you change effects. That's in my code. And this, the set thumb image for effect also gets called whenever we have a slider event. So when the thing gets dragged, it calls this as a result. And then we just find the value. We pretty much do a very similar thing. This is the same code as above, except we have this variable here, which changes the color on the blue component. And there's transparency because I want to see what's underneath for now, which is why you can see the track underneath the slider, underneath the thumb. Yeah. Then there's this text stuff, which is a little bit complicated. The reason it's complicated is I want the text to be left to right when you're looking at it on portrait mode, and we're rotating 90 degrees clockwise to get the slider. We're rotating 90 degrees counterclockwise to get the slider vertical, and that means the text will also rotate that way. So I have to pre-rotate it clockwise 90 degrees to get it to draw the correct way. So if you'll see here, there's basically this almost looks like the OpenGL calls, except I'm specifying it with core graphics, and this is the equivalent of the push for OpenGL, and this is the equivalent of the pop, and they're called pretty similar, so I just guessed and they were the right. So I just rotate one way. Yeah, it was a little tricky, and it's still not exactly in the right position, but when you rotate something, okay, so if I'm using this, yeah, it's better to use empty paint. So if I'm drawing like, yeah, we'll say I'm drawing in this rectangle, and the thing I'm drawing will be this white. This will be the text. So if I draw it like this, and then I tell it to rotate 90 degrees around this point, so whatever the current point is, it's going to, okay, this is the actual text box, the way it gets drawn with the draw string method. When I draw it 0, 0, it draws here. So nicely it goes down a little bit and to the right. And that's usually what you want if you're at 0, 0. But when you rotate 90 degrees clockwise, that's going to go here, just out of screen. And we want it to go here because this gets rotated that way, I think. Yeah. No. Sorry, this gets rotated that way. So this will be in the middle if we get it here somehow, after the rotation of the slider. So basically we rotate it, and then we have to translate about half that distance up. And that ends up being in the, it's you know, last time we had similar issues, but it's a little tricky to figure out which, whether it's X or Y you need to translate by after you've rotated, but since we're doing 90 degrees, it's actually a lot easier too. And we just have to go up a little bit in the Y direction. Yeah. And then that's pretty much where we're at right now. So our image looks pretty different from this still. The first thing I want to get to is well, I could start doing this. I'm still not 100% sure if I want this isosceles triangle thing. It looks like it makes some sense to me. I like it because it shows more is up. That's basically the reason I like that instead of just a standard slider. But on the other hand, a standard slider is not the worst thing in the world. What I do need to have though is these ticker marks, and I think we can go ahead and just do that now. Now we'll just do the linear case for now. We're not going to worry about exponential. That will have to come later. And that'll probably be its own special case. But the way these ticker marks will work, yeah. So it's kind of strange. I mean, how many arbitrary picker marks would you want? We could make it like a ruler where you always have the same number. So, ruler something like that. You have 5. It's weird to just have 4 because then you are dividing by 3 actually. It's an n-1 kind of thing. So I just put the 0, 25, 75, and 50%. I just do some percentage like that. I think this is reasonable. Given the real estate we have to work with, we don't have that much space. You just get this thing. Of course, when you start playing with it, you start to think differently. So, yeah, so 0, 25, 50, 75. Because we don't, we might be able to get a few more, maybe we can fit 8 in there. And it's going to be something like this, right? The ticker marks should be this, like, very light color, I think. So this is with an alpha of 50%. So it's not really intruding if the other colors are dark. And you can just see it when you want to, pretty much. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to add ticker marks along the side. And I think I'm just going to center them for now. I'm doing that because it takes care of the symmetry problem that we would have to deal with otherwise. You'll notice right now that I just realized that our numbers are wrapping. This is 4.48, and the 8 gets stuffed down there. That's no good. That's not what we want. So we'll have to deal with that too. Pretty much, I think we should just limit to 4 characters, or yeah, definitely have some things with 5 digits, so hard to say. Yeah, see 5,000, the 0.0 on there is totally unnecessary. So anyway, let's get these lines down, and let's also get the top of the slider drawn. Right now we're using the default image. Yeah.